The one thing that I didn't think Stefanski did well was evolve. I just don't think he evolved. Like
So you guys are just as surprised as I am about him getting the job in Atlanta right away.
In this second installment of demonstrating to you why I think Todd Monken has proven to already be a better coach for the Cleveland Browns than Kevin Stefanski, we're going to get a little deeper and talk about the football side. We talked about the leadership side and the communication side and how he's really just started off on a...
Because for months, all anybody wanted to talk about was the criticism, the slide, the embarrassment of watching him fall out of the first round on national television while cameras stayed locked on his face. People love a good takedown, and Shedeur Sanders gave them one to feast on. Every analyst had an opinion. Every talking head had a joke. And through it all, he just sat there, quiet, watching, waiting. Now flip the page forward a few months, and the conversation nobody expected is starting to take shape in Cleveland. Todd Monken is in the building, and suddenly, everything people assumed about Shedeur's future is getting rewritten in real time.
Maybe to close out and get a little deeper there, I want to show you some specific plays, right? Hey Tink, I'm getting in my, come on now. I know a little something about football, but we gonna all learn a little something about football today. And we're gonna show a few things that Monken is able to do that I think adds a lot of creativity. And not only is it creative, but I want to show you something because a lot of this video...
Let's back up for a second, because to understand why this moment matters, you have to remember what Shedeur walked into, a rookie quarterback, coming off the most humiliating draft night in recent memory, landing in a city that just spent years defending a coaching staff that couldn't figure out its own quarterback room. Kevin Stefanski built a reputation on being disciplined, being organized, being the coach of the year guy. But ask anybody honestly, what did that offense actually do that made you sit up in your seat? Nobody had an answer. Tight ends and clock control. That was the identity. Not exactly the kind of system built to develop a young gunslinger with the kind of arm talent and instincts Shedeur has flashed since high school. So when Monken walked in, the first thing players noticed wasn't scheme, it was presence. Guys inside that building started talking, and the story was the same every time. This man is hands-on. This man holds you accountable. Reports started floating around about practice looking completely different, players getting pulled mid-rep, false starts getting the play reset on the spot. One offensive lineman put it plainly, saying the standard changed the moment Monken showed up, that guys were being forced to lock in on details they used to slide through. That's not just coaching talk, that's culture shifting in real time. And for a young quarterback trying to prove he belongs, that kind of environment can be everything.
This is creativity, right? I can't tell what year this is, so this is with a W, right? So, I mean, it has to be post-2021, right? After the national championships, you know what I mean? So this is recently, right? This is something that, and by the way, this is something that Todd Monken took from Georgia and implemented it with the Ravens, right? And look at this. When I say creativity, right? At 59 years old, right? He's already bringing in a new way, at least.
Now here's where it gets interesting, because this isn't the story of some rah-rah motivational coach with no substance behind the message. Monken has receipts, real ones. Go back to Baltimore and you'll see an offensive mind that doesn't just run plays, he manipulates them. Everybody in this league runs the same route concepts. It's the NFL equivalent of ordering the same fast food and just changing what you wrap it in. But Monken finds ways to disguise it, to dress a basic concept up until a defense can't recognize what's coming until it's already too late. That's the piece Browns fans are latching onto right now, because for the first time in years, there's an offensive coordinator in that building who might actually know how to generate easy completions for a rookie quarterback instead of asking him to play hero ball behind a shaky offensive line. Picture it, a flood concept, dressed up with motion, disguised just enough that a veteran defense still bites on the wrong read. A running back leaking out in a place nobody's trained to expect him. Simple stuff on paper, but devastating when the timing lines up. That's not flash for the sake of flash. That's a coach building easy answers into an offense so his quarterback isn't forced to be perfect on every single snap. If you're Shedeur Sanders and you spent your entire life either scrambling for your life or manufacturing plays out of nothing behind bad protection, that kind of design might be the biggest gift anybody's given you since you left college.
Stop there. It could never just stop there. Again, I'm showing you very basic things. I'm not gonna show you any Insanotron. Oh my God, he's jumping from the ceiling. No, these are basic concepts that he's using to make the game easier, to get passes off quicker, to generate offense in very interesting ways. Here we go, very basic here. All right, this is gonna be a spot. This is gonna be a spot route, right? With a running back rail.
And that leads into the piece that really has people buzzing. Because remember, this isn't Monken's first rodeo developing unlikely production out of a quarterback room. People forget the man was calling plays in the Big 12 back when air raid football was still considered gimmicky. Deep shots down the middle of the field before it was trendy. And when he got to Baltimore, he didn't shrink his approach to fit Lamar Jackson. He expanded it. Built a system that let Lamar be Lamar while still hitting defenses with concepts they hadn't studied enough film to stop. The results speak for itself, an MVP season most people didn't see coming. So now you take that same track record and you drop it into a quarterback room that already has two names creating tension. Deshaun Watson, the guy with the contract nobody in Cleveland can escape talking about, and Shedeur Sanders, the guy carrying the weight of a draft class that humbled him in front of the entire country. That's the kind of quarterback competition that makes for great television, but more importantly, it's the kind of competition that forces growth. And from everything coming out of camp, it sounds like nobody in that building is getting a free pass, which, if you're a young player trying to prove doubters wrong, might be exactly what you need. Here's the thing people still don't want to admit about Shedeur. Say what you want about the pre-draft process. Say what you want about the interviews that didn't land the way his camp hoped they would. But this is a competitor who has been doubted his entire life and is answered every single time. High school doubters, college doubters, now league doubters. And every time the noise gets louder, something in him seems to click into another gear.
Hey, man. Hey, look. I made this video, this series of videos to show you why I genuinely think Todd Monken is already demonstrating why he's a better head coach for the Browns specifically, and to make a lot more offensive things happen, especially as an offensive-minded head coach. He might be older, it might be his first time, but man, he's got some impressive things on film, especially giving a very efficient MVP season for a...
That's the story arc nobody's talking about enough. This isn't really about Todd Monken saving Shedeur Sanders. It's about whether Shedeur is finally being put in a position where his talent can actually be seen clearly, without the fog of bad play design or predictable football getting in the way. Now look, before we keep going, if you're the kind of fan who lives for stories like this, underdog quarterbacks, real football breakdowns, the kind of storytelling that goes past the headlines and actually explains why something is happening, do yourself a favor and hit subscribe right now. This channel exists for exactly this kind of deep dive, and trust me, there's a lot more of this Brown story still unfolding. Because here's where the tension really builds. Fans have watched this quarterback room for years and been let down more times than they can count. So naturally, some of that skepticism hasn't disappeared just because a new coordinator showed up with a good reputation and some cool tape from Baltimore. There are still people in the comment sections, still people on sports radio saying, "Prove it." Says who this changes anything. Coaching only gets you so far, they'll argue. At some point, the quarterback still has to go out there and be the guy. And that's fair. That's the tension that makes this story worth watching. Because if Shedeur Sanders steps onto that field this season and doesn't perform, none of the culture talk, none of the practice praise, none of the scheme creativity is going to matter one bit. The Cleveland media has already shown they don't hesitate to turn on players who don't deliver. And Shedeur, more than almost anybody in this league right now, understands exactly what's waiting for him if this doesn't work out. He's lived the embarrassment once already, in front of cameras, in front of millions of people, on the biggest stage college football produces. Whatever happens next, good or bad, it's going to happen just as publicly. But maybe that's exactly the kind of pressure this young man has been built for his whole life. growing up under a father that demanded excellence every single day, growing up with the spotlight most rookies never have to deal with before they even take an NFL snap. If there's one thing Shedeur Sanders has never lacked, it's the ability to perform in front of people who expect him to fail. So where does this all leave us? A rookie quarterback with something to prove? A head coaching staff finally giving him a system built to make plays easier instead of harder? A quarterback competition designed to bring the best version of every player in that room? And an entire fan base that's been burned too many times to fully believe, but curious enough to keep watching every single practice report that leaks out. That's the story of Shedeur Sanders right now. Not a finished product, not a guaranteed success, but a player finally getting put in a situation that could actually reveal who he really is on a football field, without the excuses, without the bad system, without anything left to blame but himself. And if the flashes we're already seeing in camp end up meaning anything come September, Cleveland might be looking back at this offseason as the exact moment everything changed. The moment a doubted rookie found the right voice in his ear at the perfect time. The moment Todd Monken didn't just upgrade an offense, but helped rewrite a young quarterback's entire story. Only time will tell if this turns into the redemption arc it's shaping up to be, but one thing's for sure, nobody in Cleveland is looking away anytime soon.